What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Shoe Booty Sports Podcast. This is your host, Graham Powell, co-host over there on the other screen, Bradley Brown. Say what's up, Brad.
It's happening.
We got playoff basketball going on, playoff hockey. We got all things playoffs going on at the moment, so plenty to talk about. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, Shoe Booty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run the race at your convenience. Track it with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Once that screenshot is verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series, and you can find us, Shoe Booty Sports, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter or X at Shoe Booty Sports. Okay, first and foremost, rest in peace, Bill Walton. One of the probably top two greatest centers in college basketball history, and just one of the all-time greats at the center position. NBA Hall of Famer, and a lot of people don't know how great he was at basketball, especially before he got injured. Injuries really. He's one of those players that you would have really liked to have seen just how great he could have been if he never got hurt. It's a big if, of course, but still, Hall of Fame basketball player, is about as great of a college basketball career as you could ask for. Being a part of that UCLA dynasty in the '70s, won NBA championships with Portland and with the Trailblazers and the Boston Celtics. I mean, that was a great Celtics team. That Bill Walton came in and was the sixth man of the year of, if I remember correctly. All-time great Celtics team. I mean, Bird, McHale, Parrish, Brown, and then you got Bill Walton coming off the bench as your sixth man. I mean, squad. Hall of Fame player coming in to be your sixth man. All-time great team. Of course, that Blazers team beating Dr. J and the Sixers. And that was just a great team. That was a great team, a very selfless team. And yeah, a heck of a player to watch. And just as fun, if not more fun, as an announcer, as a broadcaster. I always got a kick out of Bill Walton. I got excited. I would tune into games that I had no interest in just because Bill Walton was calling the games. And I know
Had
some
no
people,
idea. Yeah,
yeah,
no idea what he was gonna say.
exactly.
So,
And I know some people that didn't like that he was calling the games, and I don't know what I don't know what their deal was. I mean, Bill Walton was always just incredibly entertaining. Yeah, like you say, you never knew what he was going to do. I was listening to Dan Patrick's show today, and he was one talking about how hearing about his passing, was not only sudden because he died of cancer and nobody knew. He didn't tell anybody. It's a very Bill Walton thing to do. But he would talk about bringing him on as a guest, and he would ask him one question, and then Bill would go on a 14-minute just not rant, but just go for like 14 minutes. And he had said he could never really even ask a follow-up question because there wasn't enough time for the second question to be answered as far as how Bill Walton was going to answer it. But it's been fun to see. And Jay Billis wrote a column for ESPN. Very very fine column and tribute to Bill Walton, who was a friend of his, who always called him Jake, and I believe he even ended it as signing off as Jake, just in honor of him. But you never knew what you were going to get with Bill Walton, except you knew you were going to be entertained. as far as a broadcaster and announcer goes. My grandpa, my grandpa Larry, told a, told me a story. He's told this a couple of times to me. The first time many years ago, and then he said it fairly recently, within the last year or so. Just talking about running into Bill Walton at the airport, and he was trying to get an autograph from my dad, and he was Bill Walton was more than willing to do it. And he just said, "You got a pen?" He couldn't find a pen, and by the time he could get a hold of one, he had to get to his next flight, and he was unable to get it. I believe was how the story went. But uh, yeah, my grandpa actually met Bill Walton like in his I believe it was his heyday. I'm not sure. I can't remember when the year was, but um, I don't know. Legend, absolute legend. 71 years, pretty good run. Uh, yeah. Anything to add? Any fun stories as far as things Bill Walton has said that you can recall off the top of your head?
Uh, I can't really recall anything that he said over the years, but I did come across a clip the other day of him taking a bite out of a cupcake with the candle lit.
I saw that today. Yeah.
It's just like, it's like, man,
The,
you
the
really never knew what he was going to do.
Well, the guy announcing with him said it like in jest. Said, "Take a bite with the candle still lit," and he just looks at it and then takes a bite out of it. There's another where he just goes shirtless with the same sidekick. And he's like, "And Bill just took his shirt off. Everyone, yeah, just went
Yeah.
shirtless." He was a full on Deadhead. I think they said he had went to close to like 500 Grateful Dead
Oh,
concerts.
over 1,000
Mhm.
shows.
Over 1,000 Grateful Dead shows.
Yes.
So wow, there, very devoted Deadhead. Uh, One of my favorites is him talking about what like a goat or something getting milked, and then talking about, and then you know, they milked me or something along those lines. I'm butchering that, but it was another one of those out of left field things that would wake you up a little bit in a boring game, or a game that wasn't, a top 10 matchup, a Duke North Carolina matchup or something like that. Highly entertaining, pretty awesome guy away from basketball. People have said nothing. I mean, never met the guy obviously, but you can only go by what people say about him, and it's been nothing but high praise. And it will be sorely missed. So rest in peace, Bill Walton. Let's stick with basketball right now. Mavericks and
Timberwolves.
Mavericks, yeah, Mavericks and Timberwolves. Well, I was like, do I want to go city? But I've already gone mascot, and plus I'm trying to see the score out of the corner of my eye. I know it's a tie ball game at halftime. Dallas up 3-0. Who saw this coming? Last week we both picked the Timberwolves. We picked the Celtics to win. I believe I picked them in five, maybe five. I think I said six, but I said I wouldn't be surprised they beat them in five. No, they won it in four, and it looks like Dallas may very well end this series in 4 games, which is shocking. Now, I say nothing shocks me. This shocks me.
Yeah. And if that happens, I mean, there's going to be what, 8 straight days with no NBA basketball.
I believe 9, 8 or 9. So
So,
no basketball for nearly a week and a half. And honestly, if like they're about to start the second half, I believe. Well, they have started the second half now. But what is the score? I see there's 8:20 something left. I just got it up
it's,
from my
it's 59-56 Dallas.
I was going to say at the half, or coming into the second half, if I were putting money on it, I fully expect Dallas to win this game. I when
Yeah.
I was watching I watched the end of game 3 at Chili's in Jacksonville, of all places. I had a full on Chili's bar experience Sunday night. I had gone fishing. I went fishing at Lake Pickthorn with a friend of mine, and so we finish. We get finished. It's dark, and we're both hungry. And what's going to be open at 9 o'clock? On a Sunday night? Okay, Chili's, right? So we go to Chili's, and all that's open is the bar area. They shut down the dining room, which I'm perfectly fine with. We get in, we eat, and of course they got the game on, they got the volume up and everything like that. And so I'm just glued to the end of the game. I got to see the entire fourth quarter. And the exclamation point was, of course, the lob to Gafford. I believe it was Luka lobbing it to Gafford, and I mean, just threw it down, exclamation point style, had about 3 exclamation points on that dunk. I mean, I made like noises like as it happened. And when when they finished it off and won it, it's just naturally I said it's over. It's over. Series, and by that I meant series is over. Because you're not going to beat this Dallas team 4 times in a row. It's over. And I fully expect Dallas. I wouldn't have been surprised if the Timberwolves won tonight, but to me, it was a toss up, game 4. But seeing how first half went, I fully expect Dallas to close this thing out tonight. I think it ends tonight.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it ends tonight, but yeah, I did not see this potential sweep happening at all. So
I don't think anyone did. I don't think anyone called this, especially after when the T-Wolves beat the Nuggets in 7. I said that's the favorite. I mean that's my favorite to win it all, and they're about to get swept. Like they are about to get swept in the next round.
Of course, Anthony Edwards was playing a lot better in the last series. He's had a little bit of rough quarters, rough games in this series. So
yeah, and I talked about this last week. Kyrie Irving looks like 2016 Kyrie Irving. He looks like my favorite player again. He looks like the Kyrie Irving I grew to love watching play basketball. Has just been phenomenal in this year's run with the Mavs. Luka's been Luka, and of course the Mavericks have made some key moves. I'm wearing my Grizzlies hat. I'd say this Mavericks team beat the Grizzlies in November, but it wasn't the same team. I mean, they traded up. They got Daniel Gafford, pulled him away from Washington, that nightmare in Washington. And when Daniel Gafford got drafted out of Arkansas, we knew. I mean, this guy's going to be a player. Like you didn't know how good, but you knew he could be. You knew he was a player. You knew in the right situation he could flourish, and that situation was not in Washington. He essentially, I forgot he was in the league. I say that I knew he was in the league, but you completely forgot about it because he was in Washington. He was on a terrible, terrible Washington Wizards team that just is awful. It was awful last year, this year, still that way. And fortunately, he got out of there. And man, has he found a home in Dallas. I really hope they're able to work it out beyond this year. No matter what happens, how the rest of the season plays out in the next series, the finals. I really hope Gafford sticks around because he's only going to continue to flourish with Kyrie and Luka in the backcourt. I'm really happy for Daniel Gafford, and at this point, I'm pulling for the Mavericks to win it all, just because I mean it's a good story either way, Celtics Mavericks. But I'm pulling for the Mavericks just because, like I'm starting to see the Kyrie of old. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to see him do it, and not only Cleveland, but then go to Dallas and do it. But it'd be really cool to see Daniel Gafford go from the situation he was in Washington just this season, and to go to a championship team in Dallas and be a pivotal player for that team. I mean, they have figured out the lob, the lob and drawing the defenders and lob to Gafford, and he throws it down exclamation point style. I mean, it's been really cool to see him flourish there in Dallas.
Yeah.
Your thoughts? As a
Uh, yeah, it's been really cool. See how well he's played there in Dallas, but it's crazy to think that he could be setting himself up for a finals matchup against his former team, the Celtics, where that whole situation took a nasty turn back in the day.
who are you talking
So
about?
Kyrie.
Okay, I'm talking about Gafford.
Oh, you just ended up talking about Kyrie. Ah, never mind. But
Yeah, like
anyways,
5 minutes ago. Well, not even five, or it wasn't five. But yeah, I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was in what? He never played in Boston, but yes, Kyrie. That is another storyline. You were just jumping storylines, right? It's not that what I was saying was in one ear and out the other. You're just jumping to the other storyline, the intriguing match or storyline there. Of course, Kyrie, yeah, it did not end well in Boston. Kyrie's last several stops have not ended well. Uh, I mean, you could say his last just places he'd been hasn't ended well. I mean, of course, you got the ring in Cleveland, but that didn't end well. You won it out after 2017. So you go to Boston, that doesn't end well. You go to Brooklyn, and that's complete chaos, a complete mess. And now you're here in Dallas, and it really wasn't that great last season. It felt like it was going to be more of the same. And the switch got in the start of this season when I went to go see them play in November. Kyrie didn't play. I don't know what the situation was there, if there was injury, load management, whatever. But I mean, they didn't need him. I mean, Dallas got the job done against a poor Memphis Grizzlies team. But the Kyrie Irving we've seen in the last month or so, especially in the postseason when it counts, has been the Kyrie Irving Hall of Fame player, NBA champion, and it's been fun to watch. But jump back on the Celtics, going back to going back to Boston. That's going to be interesting, especially when they're playing in Boston.
yeah. If Celtics end up losing that series to Dallas, yeah, they're gonna really really hate Kyrie. But oh well.
Yeah, and it's
I
Boston
think
fans
it'd be
on top of
hilarious, but
yeah, it's Boston fans on top of that. They are not known for
yeah.
being some of the most easygoing fans, for sure. Celtics fans, especially. Okay, so I was listening to the game. Like I said, I was at Chili's, going in on my Southwest chicken salad, quesadilla salad, something quesadilla explosion salad, something like that. Either way, it was delicious. All right, I even got the queso. But the skillet queso had some. I went in on that too. I was pretty hungry. I was out working up a sweat, just because it was hot. I didn't catch anything. The fish
Say,
worked.
how hard were you fishing?
Dude, they worked me, man. I mean, they full on. I got many bites. I got one, and then it swam under a log, and so it got my line hung and broke the line doing that. So the fish absolutely worked me. The scoreboard for that was fish 20 gram zero. But
You
the
just went
point
and
is, it
fed the
was hot.
fish.
Yeah, it was hot. It was just really hot, and I was hungry. So yeah, I was going in on some chilies, and I completely just kind of lost my train of thought there.
Chili's is getting a lot of shout outs, man.
Getting a lot of shout outs, but okay. Working back around, I did hear on the speaker Stan Van Gundy calling Luka and Kyrie the best backcourt ever in NBA history. Uh, it's natural to want to scoff at that, but can you name a better one off the top of your head? I mean, Kyrie and Luka in the backcourt. Can you name a better backcourt, at least a better one than that? I mean, who pops into your head? I mean, it's Steph and Clay, right?
D1.
But what else? Exactly. I mean, we're just talking backcourt. We're just talking
Yeah.
guard play. It's hard to argue against that because when he first said that, I was like, it's jumping the gun a little bit. But then as I started to like think about it. I was like, well, would I take any two over them? Like as far as on a team that's been on a team together, I don't know. I mean, Steph and Clay maybe, but apart from that, I don't know. Luka's going to go down. Luka might have the scoring title by the time he's finished. I mean, because he's a big guy, a big durable guy. He's not a slasher or anything like that. He's going to be around for a long time. He's a big durable fella, and his game. He's not going to take a lot of punishment. And Kyrie is an all-time great already, so it's hard to argue that. I'm not necessarily. I don't know that I'm going to confirm it, but I'm definitely not going to deny it. It's and Stan Van Gundy definitely knows basketball, so it's hard to argue that. All right, so okay, let's just go ahead and do a finals preview because even if it doesn't happen tonight, which you got a score update by the way, I need to pull up my
Yeah, yeah. Minnesota's back in the lead. It's 66-63. Yeah, if it doesn't happen tonight, it's going to happen later this week.
I got 66 all on the ESPN app, so it's a little bit faster.
They just made the three. So,
Right. WNBA news real quick. Caitlin Clark got a career high 30 points tonight against the LA Sparks, but it was in a losing effort. But
yeah.
the Fever did get their first win. I believe it was Friday. Was it Friday or Saturday? It was over the same LA Sparks team. Cameron Brink and company. I did tune into that game and I was entertained. I mean, yeah, the Fever aren't very good, but they are getting better. I just, uh, I don't know how it's going to work out for Caitlin Clark as far as that seems to be a poorly run organization, not necessarily well coached, not a good team. I just hope it doesn't ruin her career. Um, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I like Kate Martin's chances of not saying it'll be a more successful career overall, but as far as like winning games goes of the Iowa players, Kate Martin is in a much better situation. I am happy for her. I will say that.
Yeah.
All right, jumping back. All right, jumping back to the NBA Finals. Like I said, if it's not tonight, it'll be next. It'll be soon. It'll be Dallas. It'll be Dallas and Boston. Who are we picking? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's be the first show to make NBA Finals predictions. I'll let you go first. Boston, Dallas. Who you got? How many games?
Uh
Finals
man,
MVP.
I I don't know. I'll probably go with Boston. We'll give it
Really?
Yeah, we'll give it 6 games. Man,
Six.
as
Okay.
many as many game. I mean, hell, the Pacers, they could have been up 3-1 in that series, but they let go. I mean, they failed to complete the game, man. They lost so many last second, last minute leads in that series. But
You,
yeah,
at least you could say the series could be tied.
yeah, it could be tied. But I don't know, with the Celtics, I mean, they were able to, make those comebacks, showed some grit. I don't know, man. They're just a tough out.
It's a really good team, and Jalen Brown's right. He was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Got the Larry Bird Trophy. Deservedly so. And I think he said it best in the presser. This is not the same team. We're not the same team that we were 2 years ago or even last year. And he's right, they're not. You got Drew Holiday, you got Kristaps Porzingis. It's a different squad. This is as good of a team as they've ever had with Brown and Tatum. So on paper, I would say that they should be favored against whoever comes out of the West. Even if
Yeah.
Minnesota somehow comes back and wins this, I say Boston, at least on paper, will be favored to beat either one of those teams. However, semicolon, however, comma, I'm going to pick Dallas. I'm going to pick Dallas because they've done nothing but win against. I'm not going to say teams I didn't expect them to beat. I'm not surprised they beat Oklahoma City. I'm surprised that they're not only beating Minnesota in this fashion, or just beating them. I'm surprised that they're just going to beat Minnesota. And here's really the X factor. There's two of them. Kyrie Irving looks like 2016 Kyrie Irving, as I've alluded to many times in the last couple of weeks. But Daniel Gafford, and that on top of that, just the defenders that Dallas has inside, the big men that they have. I mean, Dallas is more than Luka and Kyrie, but you've got two legitimate Hall of Fame superstars that can score with or without the ball in their hands. And Luka and Kyrie, you try to take that away, you're going to have to deal with Gafford on a lob or just in some other form or fashion. You got elite play down low, defensive play down low, as far as the big men go for Dallas. But then again, I mean, Boston is so good. I mean, they are good at every position. I mean, who hit the game winner the other night against Indiana? Derek White, a really good player who gets overshadowed by the fact that he's, I mean, just all stars: Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday. The best four you're going to get in the league, and Kristaps Porzingis. So you forget about a Derek White, who's a really good player in his own right. So, yeah, you could say on paper it should be Boston. I wouldn't be surprised if they get it done because Jaylen Brown's right. This isn't the same team, and it looks like they have a completely different mentality. They're not that same team. But for all the reasons I stated, would you okay? Here's really the
I would
big.
like for the Mavs to win, but I think the Celtics will win.
I say that I'm pulling for them because I want it for Gafford, but I really don't have a dog in the fight. There's a good story either way there. The Celtics finally overcome that hump and get it done. And gives Tatum and Brown some like real credibility. There's a good story either way. But here's when it's close like that. Who am I going to take? Who are the two best players for each team? Brown and Tatum, Luka and Kyrie. Of those two, of that tandem, which tandem you taking? Those two tandems.
And probably Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, I like Tatum and Brown, but I really like Luka and Kyrie. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that duo. And man, but I think it'll be a 7-game series. I think if they beat Boston, it'll be 7 games. Yeah, I would pick Dallas in 7. I mean, I've been wrong every week on the show, so we haven't had a really good track record the last couple of weeks, but still, I'm gonna take Dallas in 7, and I will say Luka will be the Finals MVP. How many games did you say Boston in?
6.
And who you got as the MVP?
I don't know.
We got to be the first to the show, Brad. So you got to pick somebody. Tatum, Brown. It's going to be one of those two.
I'll go with Brown.
Brown to repeat. Okay. It seems like, I mean, Tatum is okay doing that. Kind of, he doesn't have to have the ball, or he doesn't demand the ball like in situations down the stretch. He'll take the ball. It's not that he's afraid to take the shot or anything.
Yeah.
But he kind of more so lets the play play out rather than demand the ball and just make something happen. But when you got enough players on that squad, it makes sense to be that way. You got plenty of guys on that team that can get you a bucket. So I get it. It's not a knock by any means. If anything, it's the smart thing to do, probably. Okay, I got Dallas. You got Boston. We'll see what happens. One of us will be right at least.
Yeah.
So we at least have that going for us. All right, let's close the show just with other news. NFL talk real quick. Stetson Bennett, two-time national champion quarterback with the Georgia Bulldogs, is apparently back with the LA Rams after taking a year off for what they label as mental health reasons.
Rehab.
It, it was my understanding he had a severe alcohol problem, which I guess you can contribute to mental health. But I didn't even
Yeah.
know he was still on the team. When this news came out, I thought the Rams had just let him go. I thought that they had let him go and that he didn't have a spot back, available to come back. That was my understanding. Apparently I was wrong.
Yeah, I never heard anything about him being let go, so I always figured he was going to come back.
Yeah, I never heard anything about him being let go, but I'd heard that he was no longer with the team because of a severe alcohol problem. I assume that meant that they released him. I assume that's what it meant, but I mean, he was a good player. If he can get his head right, I know he's an old college quarterback, but he's still pretty
Yeah.
young. So I mean, he can, especially with Stafford and the injury issues he's had the last couple seasons. I mean, yeah, that guy deserves a roster spot, I would say, if he can get his act together. And it kind of sounds like he has. I mean, it's still very early, so we'll wait and see. But um, he's made some bad decisions, but he seems like a smart kid. Like I think he can figure it out.
Wow.
So good for him. I'll say that. I'm rooting for the kid. If anything, just get you an NFL roster spot for the next 10 years and make a lot of money. At worst. And if that's at worst, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have some golf with Brad real quick. The big news for me that I noticed was the LPGA's Lexi Thompson retiring from full time golf. I don't know what that means. I know she's had 15 career wins and she's 29 years old. What does that mean? She's retiring from full time
Means
golf.
she's going to be pretty much doing what Tiger's doing, picking and choosing what tournament she wants to play in. She's not going to be playing week in, week out. She's 29, but she's been playing professionally for almost 18 years. She made her debut at 12 years old.
Professionally?
Yeah, professionally.
How do you even get on the LPGA though at 12 years old? Or are we counting like
You're that
junior?
good.
Make sure that.
Oh, she won the junior US Open 2 times in a row and then went pro, I believe. So or made her debut. So yeah, she's been playing for dang near 18 years. She's gonna, start picking and choosing what tournament she plays in and starting, I guess, to live a normal life. I mean, because hell, she's been playing since 12. So,
And when you're
but
29, I don't know her situation, if she has a husband, family, anything like that. I guess you don't have time to have a family if you're, a professional athlete. So at 29, probably a good time to do that. Makes a lot of sense, especially if you're a female, because you have to be the one, if you want to start a family, to, you know, bear the child and all that. So it makes
yeah,
sense. Again, I'm speculating there. I don't know the situation, but common sense would dictate that might have a little something to do with it. I don't know. Where does she rank though, as like as far as golf in the women's golf rankings?
don't get me lying to you. I haven't looked at her. Looked at her resume in a while. I mean, I don't know. She's fairly popular player. I mean, I believe she's played on one PGA event with the men. I think in the last 2 or 3 years. So, um, she's made some headway for women's golfers. But yeah, as far as overall, I have no idea. So I'd have to do
Right.
some more research on that.
All right. Well, something that we do know a lot about at this point was the Louisville, or the video came out of Scottie Scheffler's arrest. Wasn't a good day for the Louisville PD.
No,
Uh,
officers already been fired. The arresting officers already been fired. There wasn't really anything that came out from the video. Everything that
no,
I've seen
no one
today,
was certainly dragged. That's for
yeah,
sure.
no one was dragged. It looked like Scotty stopped his vehicle whenever he was asked to, but the officer ran over and busted out his window. From what I seen, or what I mean, it is a pretty crazy scene. I'm guessing the guy was on a power trip. Go figure. Never heard that one before. Cop on a power trip, but
Right.
from everything that I've read and heard today, it looks like the charges are going to be dropped, maybe even by tomorrow, against Scheffler. So that'll be the end of that. He played fairly well this past week. He tied for second in the RBC, or no, in the Charles Schwab Challenge. But he lost to a guy, I think, what's his name? Davis Riley. I think he's been pro since 2019. I think he graduated from the University of Alabama. He won by like 5 strokes, and if I wish I had a time machine, because he closed out at like plus 35,000 on odds, so you could have laid $10 on him and won 3,500 bucks if
Wow.
you can, see the future. But in tragic news over the weekend, PGA professional Grayson Murray withdrew after Friday's round at the Charles Schwab Challenge, and ended up sadly taking his own life Saturday morning at the age of 30. He's had his ups and downs with mental health, um, pretty much since his career began and probably before that. And he's won as recently as January of this year. So very sad news. Very tragic news that yeah, he's no longer with us anymore. Very surprising news to wake up to on Saturday morning.
Yeah,
So
that's awful. I didn't even hear that. So sad news there. Rest in peace to him. Thoughts and prayers to with his family. Let's get out of here on a more positive note. Milwaukee Brewers are still atop the NL Central, jumping to Major League Baseball action. But my St. Louis Cardinals have won 7 of their last 10 games. They're no longer in last place or even next to last place. They're in third place now. They got a win over the Cubs Sunday night. So they are almost at 500 at 25 and 27, but they're comfortably, well, semi comfortably in the number 3 spot there in the Central. Not last anymore. Nico Collins, jumping to the NFL. Nico Collins has agreed to a 3-year, $72.75 million extension with the Houston Texans. So he's got to take CJ Stroud out for a great dinner for helping him get that deal. And the Arkansas Razorbacks begin regional play in baseball, college baseball, in the Fayetteville Regional against Southeast Missouri State Friday at 2 p.m. So we'll tune into that. But we're going to get out of here and go catch the rest of this game. Dallas probably sweeping the series. And we'll see y'all next week with plenty more to talk about. But until then, this is your host, Graham Powell. That's co-host over there, Bradley Brown.
yep.
See y'all, see y'all next time. Deuces, y'all.
Peace.